Hello and welcome to another session of Communicative English class. Hello, I greeted you hello. It's a kind of greetings. That is what I greeted you. There are different ways of greetings. Instead of saying hello, I can use many other words for greeting you. One is hi, you commonly use in WhatsApp, isn't it? Howdy are different versions of saying hello. You can also use what's going on. It's an informal way to greet somebody whom you know or to say hello to somebody whom you know. It's not what's going on, it's what's going on. Going is contracted. We use going on, not going on. Again, you can say what's up. You can also say long time no see, which means that it's been long that you have met. Now, when you meet your friends or teachers or maybe on the online platform, when you chat, you always ask, how are you? The common way of answering the question is, or responding to the question is, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? It is not wrong, but it is a bit outdated. So why don't you try something new? You can always say, I'm good. Now that is a common kind of usage. You can always say, I'm great, I'm well, or pretty good. So next time you can use, I'm good. We are having a rainy season now, isn't it? So let's discuss some words or phrases associated with rain. മഴ ചാറുന്നുണ്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചാറ്റൽ മഴ, which means that it is raining lightly or there is a light rain. Rain is falling in fine drops. Well, what do you say for ചാറ്റൽ മഴ in English? It's called a drizzle. A drizzle. A drizzle, how to use it in a sentence? There's a drizzle outside. So next time you should remember the word drizzle when there is a chaatal mara outside. Now we have heavy rains also. You can use different words for heavy rains. Heavy showers, heavy downpour, and also incessant rains. Incessant rains, you must have heard this kind of structure in news bulletins or news headlines. Incessant means unceasing, that is, it does not stop, it goes on, it continues without interruption, that is incessant rains. For heavy rains, you can also use the idiom, it's raining cats and dogs. It's raining cats and dogs does not mean that പൂച്ചയും പട്ടിയും പെയ്യുന്നു എന്നല്ല. Then what does it mean? But it definitely has an association to the story of cats and dogs. That is because when there is a heavy rain, it is very noisy, isn't it? And you can trace the origin to the fact that cats and dogs are enemies. So when they meet, they fight and they make a lot of noise. So that's why we call heavy rains that it's raining cats and dogs. By the way, what is an idiom? Idiom is a group of words established by usage. And the individual words of an idiom does not give out the meaning, the actual meaning of the idiom. You can use it only as a group of words. As a result of natural disasters or heavy rains, at times people get marooned on a particular place or in a particular place. What is marooned? You know the color maroon, isn't it? It's a very classy color, especially for cars or furniture. It's a kind of very classy color. I love the color maroon. I don't know whether you love it, but maroon is one of my favorite colors. And getting back to maroon is Ottepeduga. It actually means that trapped in an inaccessible place is marooned. How do you use it in a sentence? Schoolboys were marooned on a desert island. There is a similar word called stranded. Have you heard of the word stranded? It's a similar word. ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ടു എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് അർത്ഥം. ഒറ്റപ്പെടുക. ബാക്കിയുള്ളതിൽ നിന്ന് സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ അപകടത്തിൽ പെടുക എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. How do you use the word stranded in a sentence? The car broke down and they were stranded on the side of the road. So that is for marooned and stranded. Talking about natural disasters, you must have heard of landfall and landslide. At times both are used in the same sense, in the same context. Landfall and landslide are used in the same context, but it has different meanings actually. Landslide is breakup and downhill flow of rock, mud and water. ഉരുൾപൊട്ടലാണ് landslide. At times we use the word landfall also for landslide, but as I told you, it has a different meaning. Landfall actually is a collapse of a mass of land. മണ്ണിടിച്ചിലാണ് landfall, but it has two other meanings too. Let's see what those are. It means when a cyclone moved to land after being on water. After being on water for some time, it moves to land. That is called landfall. ഒരു ചുഴലിക്കാറ്റ് വെള്ളത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാഗത്ത് നിന്ന് ലാൻഡിലേക്ക് മൂവ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ we say landfall. It has another meaning too. When you arrive on a land after a sea journey or air journey, it is called landfall. After journeying on the sea or air and you finally you land on area of land, landia അങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ പറയില്ലേ. When you come to the shores of a land, it is landfall. So that is for landslide and landfall. This is a visual of a landslide. Here you can see another instance of landslide. This is again landslide. Now this is a landfall. Landfall. Heavy rains cause floods. You know what floods are? Pralayam. We have been commonly using it, before 1 or 2 years or so. Floods are otherwise called inundation. Again, deluge. How do you use these words in sentences? Here is how. This year's inundation is the worst in 4 years. Inundation. The stream can become a deluge when it rains heavily. These words, that is floods, inundation and deluge, also means overwhelming, that is abundance, influx, that is a big amount of something. Here is how you use it in sentences. Sunlight flooded in at the windows. We have been inundated with complaints. The deluge of lava destroyed the forest. You know about the COVID-19 pandemic, isn't it? So let's learn some words pertaining to this pandemic. First one is endemic. What is endemic? Endemic is something that belongs to a particular people or a particular location, and it's not just something, it is a disease that affects a specific people, or in a specific location only some people are affected by it. For example, Malaria is endemic to parts of Africa. Maybe because of the specific climate or because of the existence of those insects, of mosquitoes. It is an endemic only over there in certain parts of Africa. It affects only particular people, a small group of people in a specific location. So that is endemic. Now what is an epidemic? Epidemic പകർച്ചവ്യാധിയാണ് നമുക്കെല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം. Epidemic is defined like this: a disease that affects a large number of people within a community, population or region. Epidemic is a disease that affects many number of people, large number of people over a country. Of course, epidemic, like you can exemplify it as COVID-19 was an epidemic once only in Wuhan of China. Pandemic. Pandemic is an epidemic that's spread over multiple countries or continents. Just like COVID-19 has spread now, it has spread all over the world and it spread over multiple continents and countries. Pan means all over. So you can conclude that when COVID-19 was limited to Wuhan, China, it was an epidemic. The geographical spread of COVID-19 turned it into a pandemic. The next word you should know, you ought to know, pertaining to diseases is eradicate. Eradicate, you must have often heard, തുടച്ചു നീക്കുക or ഉന്മൂലനം ചെയ്യുക. How do you use it in a sentence? This disease has been eradicated from the world. Another example, the WHO pledged to eradicate smallpox. Next, I am going to introduce you to the word jab. You must have heard of the word jab because it's been liberally used in news bulletins and it's being used pertaining to COVID-19 vaccination. So what is jab actually? Jab is, the pure word meaning is a poke. കുത്തില്ലേ നമ്മൾ, a poke with something sharp or pointed. So naturally it means that it's an injection or a vaccination to prevent an illness. Examples are COVID-19 jabs, polio jabs. How do you use it in a sentence? The nurse jabbed the needle into my arm. There's another word meaning too. There's another meaning to the word jab. A sharp blow with a fist. Example is, or you use it in a sentence like this: Scott gave him a sharp jab to the ribs. This is a vaccination jab. This is a jab meaning a hard blow.